Why is Amazon's website so bad yet makes so much money? In this video, we'll look at Amazon's website and see why focusing on functionality is far superior to focusing on design. All right, so looking at this website, I think everyone can agree the design is pretty basic. In fact, if I gave this website to a customer, they'd probably throw it back in my face and say, "What's this?" And it is kind of like an inside joke in the website design communities about how bad Amazon's website is. But what people forget is it works. This works incredibly well. And that's because Amazon is focused on converting people over them being the most prettiest website on the internet. And I kind of like their approach because design trends are just that, they're trends. Suddenly they're popular, suddenly they're not. Whereas a optimized website for conversions, if done well, will always convert. So you're not constantly having to change your website, and you're getting the best of both worlds. Now, there's kind of 5 parts to the strategy here that I want to talk about. The first 3 are ones that you can implement on your website, and it doesn't matter if you're doing products or services. Then the last 2 are kind of more advanced. The first thing that I want to talk about is social proof. And this is one of the biggest things that Amazon focused on since the beginning of time, and that's in their review system. So if we come in and we say cleaning brushes, and we have a look at any of these, you'll instantly see the reviews. 1, how many there are, but 2, they also break down really well the percentages, the number in each one. You can kind of get an overall gist. You can see that there's a lot of happy people, not very many unhappy people. They've really focused on giving people as much information in their reviews as possible. So let's have a look at some of these. You can see here, you've got your reviews, and as you scroll down, you go through all the product information, but then you get to their review system, and they've given people the opportunity to add images. They can put their name, they verify it. So it's all these just trust marks that they provide on their social proof that makes it so convincing. And what you'll find is the majority of people that buy off Amazon come here and look at the reviews. So the key point to this is you need to have really powerful social proof. And this is regardless of whether you're a product or a service-based business. And in fact, sometimes it's a little bit easier with services because it's an overall review. It's not typically that someone's reviewing a particular service, but they're reviewing you as a business, whereas products more granular and goes into an individual product level. So if you are a service-based business, then what I do like to recommend is you put your reviews as high to the top of the page as you possibly can. And you also want to include as many pictures of the people reviewing it as possible. You also want to include the name of the person, the stars, and obviously the review itself. So that's what you can do as a service. As a product-based business, you probably already know the power of reviews, but collect them as often as possible. And in fact, you need to have an automated way to collect them. And whether you're on WordPress or Shopify, it doesn't matter what platform you're on to sell. They all have automated methods and plugins in order to collect reviews. So use them and push for them as much as possible. The second part that Amazon is really focused in on is their navigation. This is important for every website, no matter what you're doing with it, is you need to get people to where they're going as quick as possible with the least clicks as possible. Amazon does this via really granular navigation, so you can go down to exactly what you're looking for. But the most used thing on Amazon is their search function because it works so well. So I'm going to say I'm looking for a cleaning brush. You can see here everything that shows up is relevant. But they've gone a step further and said, okay, what are the things that people care about? And you can see it gets down to the point of firmness of the actual bristles, the price range, the customer review. You might not be able to go as granular as this. The minimum is reviews, categories, pricing, brands, and if you can, some sort of attribute. So if it's color or something like that, and that will really help boost your conversion rate because it just allows people to find what they're looking for that much easier. People online have a very limited tolerance for being jerked around. So you need to get them there as easy as possible. The third part kind of ties into that ease of use, and that is all of their tools that allow you to make purchases as seamlessly as possible. So this is kind of things like buy now. So it's a one-click purchase if you're signed up. They've got all the information that you might want to know about returns, just readily available over on the side before you've even added it to cart. These are things that you can implement as well on yours by making it one-page checkouts. A lot of platforms allow you to do that. So instead of making them go through filling out their information, they go to the next page, they put in their shipping, next page, put in their credit card, have it all on one page. The other really cool thing that we've been seeing working really well is what we call conversion boosters. And that's little icons and information around the process that give them an extra tap when they need it. So that can be things like reminding them of free shipping if they're over a certain amount. It can be that you've got a 30-day refund guarantee, or anything that gives them a little bit more confidence to make the purchase. So this isn't just with products, again with services, as they're going through the process of reading your information and then maybe they go to the contact us page. Don't just have that a contact form if you've got more information to give. So you can again have reviews. You can also have a happiness guarantee. So if they're not happy with the service, they can get a refund. Things like this. The next two things that I want to talk about are a little bit more high level and may not be as easy to implement on the standard website for services and products, but they are very interesting and a part of why Amazon's so successful. The first is personalized recommendations and their data-driven approach. The data-driven approach you can probably implement if you've been running your website for a while, and that's looking at your analytics and watching the flow of where people are coming from, how they're interacting with your website, and adjusting it to make that path even easier. So this can be things like, if there's a lot of people coming to your product page, but they're not adding to cart, then you know you need to focus on that part. And you can make some tweaks, add some trust measures in there, and then you'll see if that affects it positively or negatively and make the adjustment. So it all comes down to kind of testing. The personalized recommendations is a little bit harder to implement, but it's getting easier with technology on the main platforms again. But that's like if I go to the homepage of Amazon, you'll see that now that I've looked at things, it's coming up and showing me more products like this. So this is really important for someone who goes away and comes back and you want to show them similar products to what they're looking for. Another really interesting way of implementing something like this is targeting people with an email campaign based off their browse abandonment. So browse abandonment is a trigger that you can install on a lot of websites that will track what people look at. And even if they don't add it to cart, you know what they've looked at. And then you can send them an email that says, we notice you're looking at our Brazilian coffee beans. They're actually one of our best sellers. Here's our top choices. If you've got any questions, let us know. So that's a way that you can start to implement personalization into your sales flow. For service-based businesses, it's a little bit more tricky, but you can set up things like pop-ups on certain pages that say, hey, notice you're looking at our website design services. Here's some of our best designs in the last 30 days. Let us know if you've got any questions. So it's just trying to make a touch point that's more personalized than literally just, here's our best sellers, even though they're looking at men's products and you're showing them women's shoes. That's the fourth point. The fifth and final thing is something that you can implement in websites, more kind of for the product related websites, but that is the follow-ups after you actually have made the purchase. So Amazon's really good about tracking your parcel and giving you updates on when it's going to arrive. They have amazing logistics, which makes this super effective. Even if you don't have your own logistics center, a lot of the shipping providers do provide access to send out notifications, but the minimum is just send them their tracking code. A lot of people will just keep the tracking code, and if someone asks, they look it up and send them the information, but send them that tracking code so that they can look it up themselves. The next thing is kind of tying into the reviews. Ask them how their experience with the product was. So even if you weren't going to post this online, this is really powerful information to collect because it allows you to improve things and it also allows you to get an insight into the customer experience on your website. The key to all of this is you make money when someone takes the action you want them to take, not when they're wowed by your design. So if you've enjoyed this video and you've got some value out of it, Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.